Belichick leading off the entire press conference saying, I haven't seen this many cameras since we signed Tebow. Then he would go in to talk about how they mutually agreed to part ways and then obviously give thanks to everybody, including the media, which was a little bit quicker and obviously one that is very hilarious because of the relationship that we have seen between he and them over the years has not necessarily been described as a good one. He'd go in there dressed like a hilarious homeless man. He would kind of just grunt at them. And then that's when we got to, we're on to Cincinnati. We're on to Cincinnati. We're doing this, we're doing that. No other coach could get away with it. You know why? Because everything that man did seemingly worked for the better part of 2 decades. He would cut a player that none of us really understood why you would get rid of them. Why would you not want this person on your team? He'd get rid of them, and then all of a sudden they win another Super Bowl, and it's like, well, Bill Belichick's doing it, we trust it. The greatest coach of all time, the greatest GM of all time. And I had a lot of people, obviously, whenever I said that on College Game Day, and he and Tom Brady obviously put together the magical dynasty that will never be duplicated.
Never.
Unduplicable is the dynasty that they built up in New England together. I think we all realize that. But whenever you start thinking of him as the general manager, he's in his kitchen there, that's great. He had groceries in front of him. He was the one that was picking these players that would go on to win 6 Super Bowls, to be the most successful team in the history of the toughest league, the biggest league on earth. And all the while, coaching the players up, developing the plan, scouting, contract negotiating, and winning. This man has committed his entire being to football, and obviously we're pumped it's going to continue. He's fit, not a bad little sand shot there.
He's
good hands. Guy's got pretty good hands. We know he's got a barrel chest. We saw that on a ring cam. He's got a hysterical costume and wardrobe. He loves his boat, and forever we'll call him the greatest coach of all time. His time ends in New England, but it was a beautiful one.
Hell yeah.
Congratulations to the New England Patriots having the greatest dynasty of all time. Man, we got about 55 seconds until we transition over to ESPN from SportsCenter, which we're very thankful for them passing the baton to us over there. This is a moment in one word, how you could describe it?
Emotional.
Watching you watch that and then watching all of us watch it, we kind of got captivated by it. Because you think you're kind of in a movie. You think there's no way this is reality. You think to yourself, this is a marriage that'll be able to last forever, and when Bill retires, he'll retire a New England Patriot. Robert Kraft actually said, good luck to him. I wish you success, except for whenever you're playing against us. Now, we'll be transitioning over to ESPN with a baton handoff from the fine folks at SportsCenter. I'm sure they're pumped about that. We can't wait. Ladies and gentlemen, there's 2 different counts happening. We're either at 10 or we're at 1. Thank you, SportsCenter. It is an absolute honor to be here on this big news Thursday, January 11th, 2024. Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots are parting ways after the greatest dynasty in the history of professional sports. I appreciated the fact that they both had their prepared statements, they took no questions, and then they just waltzed right off. Robert Kraft will be talking at 2 p.m. Eastern time. I think he'll be having his own press conference, so we'll probably get some more answers about how the conversation went, how long he had been thinking about this potential divorce. But Bill Belichick led the whole thing off saying he hadn't seen that many cameras since they signed Tim Tebow, and then he said, we mutually agreed to part ways amicably, which was a statement that was echoed by Robert Kraft, which never happens in anything, especially when egos and pride and millions of dollars are on the line. So shout out to the New England Patriots seemingly doing it the right way on the way out. And while it was happening, the greatest of all time. Now, obviously, I'm not alone here. There's a man who coached football for 36 years who's going to have some of the ins and outs of the conversations that had to take place, not only in New England, but also in Seattle. And down there in Alabama. A lot of legends seemingly on the move and in a different chapter. Chuck Pagano is here. We appreciate it. Chuck. One half of the Hammer Down Cowboys. Tone Diggs is here. And the Toxic Table is here as well. At Ty Schmidt, obviously Green Bay Packer owner and a man who is incredibly pumped that Jordan Love is seemingly the third one in a line of great quarterbacks for the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, you know, being good today and in great spirits, and I just feel for Con, man.
To the exact point that you just made, the other member of the Toxic Table is a diehard New England Patriot fan. A man that would actually take a bullet for Bill Belichick. Whenever the Tom Brady-Bill Belichick thing split, obviously he loved Tom Brady and he appreciated him. But Bill Belichick here is the guy that is the brain and the mastermind behind all this success. Had to be that way if you're a New England Patriot fan. You obviously softened on Tom as the years went on and appreciated him, but you were willing to ride and actually die for Bill Belichick. Now, it is official. The Bill Belichick era is over. How are you feeling? And did you feel like you were watching a movie there as those two gentlemen spoke?
Yeah, it was like a movie. I honestly can't really tell you how I'm feeling because the day woke up. I mean, I started with checking my phone as most people do and seeing the news right away. It was not mind-blowing because that would be naive to say that I didn't see this coming or at least the possibility of it coming, but it is just something you can't really wrap your head around completely yet. My entire life has been Bill Belichick football. That's all I've ever known. It's really the thing that I could hang my hat on no matter what throughout my entire life too was, whatever's going on with the other teams in Boston, who cares? We have Bill Belichick at the helm in New England. So seeing it is crazy. Like thinking about the memories is crazy. Like thinking about me and my father and my brother, watching New England Patriot football for my entire life with Bill Belichick on the sideline. So it's incredibly emotional, to be completely honest. I'm trying not to cry or anything.
No, it's awesome.
Because it really is like one of those things where you don't believe that something is ending like that. Like you really don't. And I personally wanted Bill to stay. Like, that was the feeling that I've had. And Vrabel earlier in the week, that's one thing, but that's for another day. And it's just one of those things where, like, when you really look back at the entire thing of the dynasty, it's just so much gratitude. Like, I'm so grateful that I was able to be a Patriot fan in the era of Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. I feel bad for the future Patriot fans that didn't get to experience that. And so for me personally, it's just super appreciative. It's really is a bummer because we are going to see him in a different, with a different team, and that's something that with Brady was one thing because Brady kind of came out of nowhere. Like at the end of the season with Brady when we lost to Tennessee, pick 6 at home, his contract was kind of up in the air. You weren't sure. With Bill, it was one of those things where it's like you see the end. Like you could prepare for it as best as you could, but you could never really get yourself to this moment here where it's actually happening and there's a press conference and everything's going on. And so it really is tough. I started out pissed, and then it worked its way into, hope of the future. Hey, let's be pumped about what could be next. And now it's just sadness. It's just complete sadness. And it is what it is. This is what happens. I think Bill Belichick would also echo, like, hey, if you go 4-13, yeah, stuff has to change, whether that is him or the players or, the front office or whatever it is. But things have to change when you go 4-13. And that's something why the Patriots are so successful. Like, there are so many different players. You mentioned it that he would bring in as a GM or that he would draft. And maybe they were played unbelievable and they would still, move on. And there's a list of those guys that you could mention. And there's a list of guys who came in on a 1-year, 2-year deal that Bill knew, hey, you bring this guy in, you're probably winning a Super Bowl. Revis, Browner, same exact thing. I mean, Chandler Jones had one of the better Super Bowls against the Seattle Seahawks, and he got shipped out of town because Bill knew, like, hey, this guy is so good. There's a massive chance we're not going to be able to pay him and re-sign him. And, like, those decisions, I think, get looked at in the moment as, like, what the hell is this guy doing? But then when you go back and look at him, it's like, this guy is so smart. He sees 2-3 years ahead of what everybody else does. So not having that anymore is crazy. Having the thought that we're not just hiring a head coach, we're hiring a GM. Like, the Twilight Zone that I'm in now is more crazy to think about than anything. There's never been a point in my life where there hasn't been a leader in the clubhouse, if you will, or a guy that that is going to be doing everything he possibly can for the team as a whole. Like right now, not having a head coach or a general manager, it's not scary. I mean, this is football, it's a sport, but as a fan, it's shocking, especially as a New England Patriot fan. I mean, he just went through it, 10 Super Bowl appearances, 6 Super Bowl wins. Like things like that don't just happen. And you can go down the line of those coaches on that all-time list that he's passed. None of them can hold their jock when it comes to success in championships, when it comes to Bill Belichick. And, Chuck mentioned it in the free agency and the salary cap era. Like, that is unheard of. It's never going to happen again. The Chiefs right now, like, it's incredible what they're doing and everything, and they've gone to 4, possibly 5 straight AFC championships. But at the same time, it's like a lot of the players that they loved and wanted, they weren't able to hold on to. And, you see guys leave all the time and guys kind of plug in place and nothing be affected too much. But I don't think anybody can point to any other team than the New England Patriots when it comes to that aspect, because there has been so many Hall of Fame players come and play for Bill and then leave and talk about, how great of a coach and person Bill Belichick is. And I think that's like the biggest thing for me right now is just like thinking about how incredible it was what he did for the New England Patriots, and then seeing him get emotional talking
about the fans.
like
yeah,
that.
so that's what I was like, kind of.
Yeah,
that's what I was noticing here, because like you talking about him, obviously you're getting emotional.
Yeah,
and the only time that Bill really got emotional there was when he was talking about the fans, and then you saw him start reliving moments where he was on a trip or a visit somewhere, and somebody comes up with a Patriots merch on or whatever, and he said in my travels in there, and he got a little choked up. That's a beautiful thing. Yeah. You guys have built a beautiful thing up there.
Yeah,
and it was you guys against the world.
Exactly.
I know everybody else says that, but like the Patriots versus the world, the amount of gates that took place.
Oh yeah,
that bunker mentality, that entire area and that entire team were in abundance. I mean, it was loud up there.
Yeah, like him being again emotional is what got me for sure. But like you think about the 2004 to 2014, era, like all those great players that weren't able to win a Super Bowl, like him talking about them, that is so cool. And it's just one of those things where like I look forward to like talking about how great he was, down the road, because it is something I'm just so lucky to have experienced the entire thing.
We zoomed out to see Bill Belichick has literally been staring at me since the first day of this particular studio and Thunderdome. I do wonder how long you keep, because you got the Bledsoe one still up here. Yeah, Bledsoe, obviously, massive piece of the entire story.
Oh, yeah.
Then you got Bill Belichick there, another piece to the story. And I know we're in the middle of a celebration. Both of them told us that. Bill Belichick said, "This is a celebration." Shakes hands, little hug. Robert Kraft goes, "Thank you all for coming to his celebration." Shakes hands. They do a hug, then they walk off or whatever. The celebration will come whenever Bill Belichick's done.
Yeah.
Just like the Tom Brady celebration came whenever he was done at the Buccaneers. This was all a formality, had to happen here. I wonder how that conversation went. And, this follows Coach Carroll seemingly getting kind of told that he's no longer the head coach at Seattle. If you had to guess what the Bill Belichick, Robert Kraft conversation went like, because I assume you've had to be in a couple of these before in your years of coaching, how does that normally go? So can you walk us through what something like that would potentially go like? And who do you think was potentially in charge in this particular convo? Obviously Kraft, I guess, would be the answer there.
Honestly, after a 24-year run, I can imagine maybe after a first contract. Like I've been in a convo with an owner after, a first contract expires and you're trying to get a second contract. And it's like, okay, where are we going and how are we getting there? What changes are going to be made? Staff-wise, roster-wise, what's the vision? Is it the same vision that you had when you walked in here? Is it a new vision? All those kind of things. Do you want to be here? Do you still want to coach here? Is there still goals? Do you still have the same, dreams and aspirations the minute you walked in the door? I can't imagine, like between Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick, other than maybe, because this just didn't happen overnight, I got to assume.
24 years.
But like even this last year, this had to be maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, post Tom Brady. Maybe it's this, who's in Robert's ear?